You're listening to XVGM Radio. Welcome to XVGM Radio, where the bits keep coming. I'm Mike.
And I'm Justin.
And this is episode 86, Dances with Nikos, or Niko. There's not two, but it fits with the motif.
That would be so crazy.
Right?
I don't know. I don't know if our
two.
listeners could handle two Nikos. Their brains would explode.
My head, my face, everything would explode. We're back again with NikoTengoku, our buddy Niko. He comes back every January. We had to dig him up from his New Year's grave and spread his ashes out, say a few magic blessings, and make him rise from our grave, or his grave. So welcome back, Niko. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, well, thank you for having me again for the yearly tradition. It's my favorite thing to start the year with, you know?
Absolutely. What better time of the year to celebrate Niko's awesome taste in music than the very first month of the year in January? We're starting off 2022 with a bang, a COVID bang. We are recording again remotely, sadly, but hopefully the numbers die down a little bit and we can get back in the studio together, holding hands, eating ice cream cones together, you know, all the things that Justin and I normally do when we record XVGM.
It's funny because we did do that Patreon episode with ice cream. So.
Oh, right. The live show. Yeah, we did eat ice cream together.
Yeah.
I was thinking more like we eat the same cone, but, you know.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
Yeah, we don't want to. Yeah. This is going to be a very silly, fun episode, as Niko episodes always are. We like to let our hair down, toss our bras in the fire, and just hang out and jam out to some awesome tunes. So prepare for a lack of structure, or a lack of consistent structure.
Yeah, I would say that usually when we have Niko on, we pick a system and then we don't deep dive on the system, but it's often just a lot of really good music from a particular system.
Right.
And this time around, we are totally flipping the script. Well, maybe not flipping, but it's a total change up, because we are not focusing on a particular system. We are focusing on a particular type of music.
Yeah, a genre. And that genre is dance music.
Heck
this was Niko's pick. He decided he wanted to do dance music, and we were all for it. I think it's pretty safe to say that all three of us are pretty big dance music fans, or electronic music, EDM, whatever you want to call it. The dub wubs. I don't know. What are the kids calling it these days? The stanky leg? I don't know.
I think that's a dance move. I think that's from like 5 years ago.
The stanky leg?
Yeah.
That's already outdated, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Dubs wubs is outdated, but the stanky leg is still hip to be square. Okay.
It's very obvious that you're a father, Mike.
Yes. It is,
Get with the times,
sadly.
old man.
Yeah, sadly, my I had to turn my dance card in when my kids were born. Yeah. Now I just dance at weddings terribly. Anyways, we came in with Niko's pick, which was Streets of Rage 4 for the Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC in 2020. The track was in Exhibition, and that's the full version. We'll let Niko tell us more about that. It's by Olivier Derivière.
Yes. What better way to start a dance-centric episode than with a game from a series that, with the music, is all about the dancing, you know?
True.
And I had something else before, but I was like, no, I gotta choose Streets of Rage 4. Like, I got it. This is perfect. And yes, an Exhibition has to be my favorite track. It's from Stage 8. It takes place in the art museum you're beating up, and having all the cool visuals of like this art museum, and of course that awesome track that just plays. And it's the full version, because on the official soundtrack, digital or physical, on CD, vinyl, it's only like 2.5 minutes as opposed to the 5. I don't know what reason. I guess they decided to pick certain tracks to just cut to, condense it, because the, short version is like a nice, it's definitely like the meat of the middle of that song, all the dance grooves. But I like the full version because it has the sax solo, which I think is the best part of the song.
Yes, I agree. That was fantastic. I was enjoying it from the beginning. It was like that really sexy beat, and that main line came in, and then you had those synths that they seemed really familiar, but I couldn't really quite place them. But as soon as that sax solo came in, I was just like, oh, this is above and beyond. This is amazing.
I really dig the chiptune vibe that this brought. Like, in the beginning of this track, I was like, whoa, is this one of the like remixes that were done? But no, this is really interesting to hear them take what is supposed to be like a really standard kind of track, and in terms of like a dance track, and really toss in some extra stuff that you wouldn't normally hear, specifically those chiptune vibes and the saxophone definitely were the standouts.
Oh, absolutely. It's got that groove for dancing, but it's got that funk. It's got that smoothness, almost jazzy. I really like what Mr. Olivier has done, the soundtrack. And with something like this, you go from the legends of Yuzo Koshiro and Motohiro, and it's like, when this was coming out, I was like, how's he gonna do? I hope this whole soundtrack turns out is phenomenal. And it does. It really does. And I like the flavor he brought.
I was really worried about Streets of Rage 4 before it came out. I was pretty terrified that it was not going to be good. But I mean, like, honestly, when you look at the list of the composers and you look at who was making the game, it was pretty much like a home run, like right out the gate. I've always been a bigger Final Fight fan personally, so I got to be honest, like, I haven't finished Streets of Rage 4. I thought it was really good, but it never really hooked me enough to make me want to beat it. So I'll go back and I'll beat it eventually. I mean, I've beaten all 3 of the others, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a fun beat 'em up with a really, really good soundtrack.
There was other guest composers. It was nice that, of course, Yuzo had to come back and do a couple tracks, because if not, riots.
Right, of course.
Or dance riots in the streets of rage.
People would just be dancing all over people's graves,
Exactly.
It's how it happens, man. How it happens. Olivier actually started off working on the game Obscure in 2004.
I've never heard of it.
Music for that. Yeah. Well, that's because it's pretty obscure. What else? He also did the Obscure the Aftermath game in 2007. He did the Alone in the Dark remake. He did a bunch of other stuff. Disney's Tangled. He did the Capcom game Remember Me. He's been doing a ton of stuff, and his most recent game is Streets of Rage 4. Right before that, though, he did A Plague Tale: Innocence in 2019. Justin, have you played Streets of Rage 4?
So I was going to say, I don't know that I've played any of the Streets of Rage games, but I think I have played some of the earlier ones, not through to completion, but like beat 'em ups aren't usually my thing, so I haven't. I know of this and I've heard some of the music, but I have not actually played it.
Okay. Who did you main, Niko, in Streets of Rage 4?
It's all about that Blaze.
That's my boy. That's my boy. I mean,
Blaze. Her new design is great. Yeah,
oh, for sure.
New design is fantastic.
I like Axel too. Axel is really cool too. I like that they aged the characters up, but they still look like youngish. I don't know how they got away with that. Maybe tons of secret plastic surgery that video game characters got. Can video game characters get plastic surgery? Is that a thing?
I think it's pixel surgery.
Pixel polygon surgery.
Yeah. Oh boy.
I like the other characters too. I like the new additions and the unlockables. There's a lot of great content. It's a great game. If you haven't played it, you got to do it. Just support the game and buy the soundtrack on Bandcamp or wherever else it is available, which, looking at his gamography, I was always like, wow, he did all these games and then Streets. I wonder how he got this gig. I wonder if he was just a big fan. He was like, can I compose Streets of Rage 4? And they're like, yeah, sure. You do good stuff, even though I've never heard any of his other stuff. I'm sure it's good, but...
Sure, kid, have at it.
Yeah, make us a lot of money here. See, everyone loves the Streets of Rage. It's been 24 years, or how long the last entry was.
Close.
All right, so we're doing this round robin, as we usually do, and we're going to be starting off with Niko, and then following it up with my track, and then following it up with Justin's track, and then going back to the beginning. So we got some amazing stuff for you. 9 tracks coming at you. First up is Niko. What do you got for us?
All right, well, my first pick of this episode is the title theme from Super Drift Out for the Super Famicom from 1995 by Kenji Yamazaki. And that was the title theme from Super Drift Out on the Super Famicom from 1995 by Kenji Yamazaki.
Oh, man.
That was pretty good.
That was really chill. Like, it's funny when I think of dance music, that's not normally what I think of, but I can totally get down to that. Like, it's not like trance or anything that's like too chill where you just kind of want to like sit back and like veg. Like, there's a bounce in it, but it's way more chill than I was expecting, which I like. I like to be surprised.
Yeah, this was pretty unique sounding for like compared to the rest of the stuff that we have. Definitely that like mid 90s kind of like, house type dance music, but like way slowed down, way more chill than you would normally hear. This might be something more that you'd hear on the radio, probably with like some vocals, a lot of ohs in the background,
Yeah, I like that. I like your observations. It's amazing that like we are branching out from like a console, and yet I'm still stuck with my main choices in the 16-bit era, the retro era. And yeah, I have had a big fascination, of course, with like dance music or just video game music that has that just this vibe, whether it's kind of like chill or hardcore. And actually, I find Kenji Yamazaki to be a very underrated composer, especially on the Super Nintendo. And this is just one of his many soundtracks that is phenomenal. Now, Super Drift Out, it's a rally racing game, top down. It's got some fast action. It's again Super Famicom only. It was going to receive a Western release by Alcalade, but didn't pan out, sadly, which is a shame because all of Kenji's games he composed for have always been Super Famicom exclusive, so only if you're digging deep in the Super Nintendo library you're gonna find his stuff. I remember finding the soundtrack and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And it's not all like this. There are some tracks that actually go really hard. There's literally a section of the track list. It's normal BGM and hard BGM, and it's not hard because the game is hard. It's hard because the music actually goes hard. It's actually like intense, almost gabber like levels. You gotta check it out. It's fantastic.
Nice.
Lots of hard boys.
Oh, hard boys, hard samples. It's oh god, yes. And as is the Super Nintendo strength with sampling, Kenji's taken some advantages here. And I always found this track, the title theme, to be reminiscent of like an Orbital song. Now, Orbital was in their big strides in the early 90s. The first album and the second one were already out and probably fairly big. Very housey, which I classified this track I chose as. It's a very house kind of vibe. It's not super techno-y or hardcore rave. It's chill. And you got those awesome, come on, baby, baby. I love those samples. It's it's a groove I could get down on. I could just keep my feet a moving. I just knew I had to pick something by this guy, this Kenji Yamazaki.
We're going to touch on a lot of different genres of dance music too. It's not like we're just touching on, 90s stuff, or we're just touching on, trance or techno or anything. I mean, we kind of run the full gamut for the most part. I think we got a pretty good mix here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was just looking at Kenji Yamazaki's discography, or gameography, if you will. He's still going today. I mean, his latest game was Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, which came out in 2016 on the PS4. Composing wise, the latest game he did was a game called Elminage Gothic in 2014, I guess. But he's been doing quite a bit of stuff. He started off with Psychic World in 1988. He did the Game Gear conversion of Ninja Gaiden in 1991. He's been uncredited for a lot of the stuff that he's done, including Undercover Cops Gaiden Hakaishin Garuma, which is the Game Boy Undercover Cops game, but it's like a puzzle game or something like that. I can't remember, but it's like a board game. It's something like that. Then he also worked on Phantasy Star Adventure in 1992. There's a bunch of stuff on his resume, and depending on where you look, a lot of it is like, as Niko was saying, like it's, all directly tied to like the Super Famicom, that whole era of gaming. But he jumped to the PS1 in 1997 with a game called Kakugo no Susume for the PS1, and did a couple other PS1 games, a Game Boy Advance game, and then Phantom Crush on the Xbox in 2002. So yeah, he gets around, and he's still doing work. It seems like he does a game, takes a break, does a game, takes a break. So I'm sure we'll hear from him in the future.
Probably the best way to do it is so you don't burn out.
Yeah, true.
With tunes like that, I can appreciate that style.
Absolutely. It looks like we're getting a phone call pretty early on in the episode, most likely from a random caller. Let's see. It's probably going to be somebody who wants a pizza, or has a problem with the shoes we're wearing, or wants to scream at Janine. I don't know. Just Janine, go ahead and transfer it over.
XVGM Radio. Who is this, and what can we play for you?
Hey, what's up, brah? I'm waiting for that Summer Carnival 22, man. Where is it? I've been waiting forever, man.
Summer Carnival 22?
22?
Like 2022?
Yeah, man. Don't you remember Carnival 92? Now I'm waiting for 22.
Oh, yeah. There was Summer Carnival 92, Alzadick, Summer Carnival 92, Rekka, and I think they did a Summer Carnival 93.
You said Alzadick.
I did.
Oh, man. Justin just wants Alzadick.
All right. But, too far.
No, we're you know what, pal? It's the 30th anniversary of Summer Carnival 92 Rekka. So let's play a track from that. Would that make you happy?
All right, I guess I'll settle for that.
All right, get off our line.
All right. Thanks, bros.
Summer Carnival 92 Rekka is our game. This came out on the Famicom in 1992, and the track is called Elm 39, and it's by Nobuyuki Shioda. Welcome back. That was my first pick, or that guy's first pick. The facade has been lifted.
My immersion, Mike.
Summer Carnival 92 Rekka, the Famicom release, which came out in 1992. That was Elm 39 by Nobuyuki Uchida. What a frantic, crazy game, and what a frantic, crazy track. You know, this is just old school techno goodness. I mean, when you think of early 90s techno, like, this is what you think of, you know? It's got such a crazy vibe to it. I really like the instrumentation here too. It's got such great sampled drums. Like, those drums really punch. The game itself is I guess you could say like a predecessor to the bullet hell genre. The fact that this game, I don't know, Justin, have you seen this game running ever?
I think so. I feel like I've seen both Rekka and Alzadick at some point, because we've talked about the Summer Carnival. Like, you and I have talked about it, and Ed and I have talked about it. So.
Oh, you've seen Alzadick?
Yes, I have seen Alzadick.
Oh, okay, all right. Hey, man, I haven't seen Alzadick.
Some of Zadick.
That's something I haven't seen. But I have seen Rekka.
Rekka, I barely know her. There you go.
Bring it back down to earth. Rekka's great. It's a very fast-paced game, and the fact that they're throwing so many like enemies at you and the frantic speed of the way that the level is passing, it's really intimidating to play. But it's super fun. You can pick it up on the 3DS Virtual Console currently, or you can get the ROM or get repro carts. There's repro carts out there. So a lot of different ways to play it. It's definitely worth bumping on the TV because tune-wise, it's really cool. The whole Summer Carnival thing is basically...
It was a competition, wasn't it?
It's like a competition of game making. So game makers all got together and competed to try to make a game. And this game was created by Kid. That's the developer's name.
Oh,
yeah. They generally made like games for the American group Taxan. So stuff like Low G Man.
Yeah.
Really frantic, crazy game. Well worth playing. I don't know. I wanted to represent something old school because the rest of my tracks are all newer stuff. So I wanted to really showcase something that was like chiptune and old school.
Taking a look at my picks, I think everything is after the year 2000 for me. I think the oldest thing I have is going to be towards the end, and that's 2002. So that's fair. I did like a lot of things in there. I liked how chippy it was. Like we talked about that with the Streets of Rage 4 track. But that's a track that is a more recent track that's using a lot of retro sounds, and this one was actually retro. Like those sounds were there because that's what it was.
For sure.
I liked the opening was really drony, which reminded me like almost right off the bat of like some of the Taito puzzle games that we covered a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it was also like this felt like a dark song, like it was in a minor key, and it just. It fits my aesthetic because I like a lot of dark music, dark underground, goth, industrial, stuff like that. So I thought it was really cool. And then towards the end there, it's just like I got this like picture of like zombies in my mind because you had like this the synths that were going like do 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 do, and then just like these breaks of like which reminded me of zombies. And I was like, oh, this is really there's a lot of imagery going on here, which I like. If a song can make me like see something in my mind's eye, then it's working.
There's a lot of really cool like tracks on this soundtrack that have that effect, almost like mirror images of each other. I think there's a track called like Mom, and then there's a track called Dad or something like that. Yeah, and both of those are kind of complementary towards one another, if I recall. Is that right, Niko?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, the whole soundtrack has that. It's got a vibe, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with my, of course, stuff with 8-bit stereo, when I got to this soundtrack, I remember falling in love with it and having like a good month or two straight listen of this because I do love. It's definitely the most techno-y soundtrack done on the Famicom, and that dark vibe is so like unique. There's some other soundtracks that get close, but like this is one of the few that really sounds so menacing almost as well. With of course the bullet hell content of the game, it fits very well. I definitely love that track. That one always stands out to me. And again, that beginning, that dun 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 dun, then that jump kick kicks in. I'm like, oh hell yeah. I love this. Nobuyuki Uchida actually has an interview that recalls this process of the game development and the soundtrack, and I think you should look into that because it is, of course, a great read.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll post it somewhere in our Discord channel when right around the time when the episode releases. We'll have to go back and post that. That'd be cool.
Yes.
The song and the soundtrack also have a very funny memory for me, at least. I remember once I was going to pick up my dad from somewhere for something, and I was listening to this soundtrack in my car, so I had to pick him up. So he gets in the car and we're driving, and he kind of looks at the stereo, and keep in mind my dad is not at all a video game fan or a video game music fan, and he was just kind of like, he gave me this look of disgust, and he was just like, what is this? And I was like, oh, this is Rekka. It's a game soundtrack. And he was like, you still listen to that stuff? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, ugh. Just like the disgusted sigh of just dad disgust. It was hilarious.
Dad disgust.
Dad disgust. Too much Alzadick for my dad. Anyways.
Or maybe not enough.
Or maybe not enough. Nobuyuki Uchida started off, as I said earlier, Low G Man in 1990, The Trolls in Crazy Land in 1991, which I think is a reskin of another game.
Yes.
Sumo Fighter, Isolated Warrior, G.I. Joe. He actually did both NES G.I. Joe games. Kickmaster in 1992, and he did Hebereke's Bapoon in 94. He did a bunch of games. He did a game on Game Boy Color in 99 called Little Monster, which is like a Pokemon ripoff, except there's no open worlds, which sounds kind of neat. And then he disappeared and then came back to do music for Kira Kira Star Night EXA, which is, I think that is a music platformer game that was released years later, like, 2021, I think it was released. So, yeah. All right, let's move into your first pick, Justin. What do you got for us?
So I'm going to start out with Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game. This came out on the PS3 and the Xbox 360 back in the days of 2010. The track is Twin Dragons, and it was done by Anna Managuchi. Right, welcome back. That was Twin Dragons off of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, the 2010 game that came out on the PS3 and the Xbox, and it was composed and performed by Anna Managuchi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Anamanaguchi is made up of a few people. We'll talk about them a little bit later, but they're Peter Berkman, Eri Warnar, James DeVito, and Luke Silas.
I've seen them 5 times in concert.
Damn, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I don't think I spent more than $15 each time doing it.
Very nice.
It's pretty crazy. Like, I found out about these guys from their first EP and just kind of kept following them, as time went on. I mean, I remember like listening to them on, there was like some website that had like Bit Shifter on it and like a bunch of other like chiptune artists and stuff. And these guys happened to be on the website. So I remember just like jamming out to them all the time. And when they dropped this with the Scott Pilgrim game, the movie, the game, the comic, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, I thought it was great. This is one of my least favorite tracks, in all honesty. But listening to it again, isolated from the game, I think I like it a little bit more now than I did before. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this is a good track. Of course, heard the soundtrack because I love the style. Never really followed much of Anamanaguchi, but I know their stuff. I've heard it. This is probably their most prominent to most people of like what they know.
Sure.
Yeah, again, like isolated from the game, but even with it, I still liked it. It definitely fits as like you could just see like a crowd just like moshing or jumping up and down, like groove and dancing like that.
Especially those
I
big
just love
like the big like.
Yeah,
like
this is
bass.
perfect. Yeah, perfect for that. For
Absolutely.
of that variety, people to just groove it or dance out to, mosh it, jumping, do what you want.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense because the track is Twin Dragons, which means it's the track for Evil X's 5 and 6, Kyle and Ken Katayanagi, also known as the Katayanagi twins, who are DJs. So that's the reason that I picked this track specifically because, I mean, a lot of the stuff on this soundtrack is pretty dancey already, but I wanted to get a little bit more specific and pick, that in the game is performed by the DJs while they beat the crap out of you.
This doesn't necessarily sound like Anamanaguchi's style, though. Like, I know it's by them and everything, but I think when they were writing this song, most likely they didn't try to write something that sounded like them. They tried to write something that would fit in a video game. So
yeah.
I think they nailed it for sure. And they probably went with a lot of like aesthetics in terms of like what was going on during this part of the game.
You're fighting them as Scott, and like they
Do you actually fight them? Like I thought it was I don't know. It's been forever since I read the comic.
It has been a long time, but yeah.
It's been a really long time.
Scott was partying the whip
did you guys like, were you like me where you read the comic and you were like obsessed with Scott Pilgrim around this time?
Well, I don't know that I was obsessed, but I
What's a comic?
Yeah.
Manga, I guess. I don't know.
Well, no, it's not Japanese.
I haven't
so
read
it's not
much
a manga.
of comics.
I got into it probably around the 3rd volume. This is like shortly before the movie came out, like maybe a year or so before the movie came out. And they were still releasing volumes pretty steadily and just got really, really into it. It was originally like a black and white comic. They released it in manga form style books. It's basically about this guy, Scott Pilgrim, who has these evil exes, or Ramona Flowers, who's his girlfriend to be, I guess you could say, has all these evil exes, these 7 evil exes that you have to defeat in battle in order to win her heart. So that is the comic. That's what it's based on, and the game is pretty much following suit. The style is done by Paul Robertson, who has this really specific like chibi anime kind of style. It's really cutesy, but also really like, I don't know, sexy, demonic, whatever you want to call it. It's crazy. Visually, it's a breathtaking, really captivating game. It was recently re-released for all the modern systems too. So if you got it back in the day, it got delisted, and it was like one of those games that people were begging for. And finally, they listened and re-released the game, so you can get it digitally. Currently on the Switch, Xbox One, PS4, etc., etc.
Yeah.
What's surprising? I never thought I'd see a re-release of this, but they pulled it through.
I'm so glad they did. Yeah.
I thought it was going to come. I kind of knew. I had a vibe. I had a feeling.
Yeah. I guess 10 years is enough time to be like, all right, yeah.
Now I just need the rest of the digital stuff that's locked on my Xbox 360 to come out, like, a TMNT arcade game and Out of the Shadows, Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows.
Yeah, and Alzadick.
And Alzadick, yep.
You got it on there.
You got to have Alzadick on there.
Jeez. You mentioned Paul Robertson. Just to back up and talk about him real quick. I've liked his stuff for a really long time. Aside from this game, some of the things that people may know him by, or like some of the stuff that I know him by, is in 2006 he had a short film called Pirate Babies Cabana Battle Street Fight 2006. That was fantastic, and it's the exact same style. Like, I remember I didn't know anything about Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, but when it came out, I was like, no way, this is that guy who did that video, because it was that, and then Kings of Power 4,000,000,000% came out in 2008. When I saw the art, I was like, this is awesome. I went looking for it, and that's when I found out that it was the same guy, and I lost my mind, because I didn't think he had done anything like actual games. I thought he just did like pixel art and videos.
He also did a game, he did the art for a game called Mercenary Kings, which came out, like, it was an early PS4 digital release.
2014,
yeah. So that's also a really fun game. If you like Contra, it's very similar, like Contra or Broforce, like that type of stuff.
Yeah, he's also listed for Curses and Chaos in 2015.
Okay. That's a pretty cool game too.
Yeah. He's also gotten a bit bigger since this the Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, because he's done some television stuff too. He did a number of things in episodes of Gravity Falls. There was an episode called Fight Fighters, and half of that episode is just his pixel his pixel art, like he animated it. He did some stuff for a season 3 promo for Rick and Morty. He did season 26 of The Simpsons, episode 14. He did the couch gag, and then in 2020 he did Amphibia. There's an 8-bit theme song takeover that he had a hand in. So
I like how we talked about the history on the artist and not the musicians.
I mean,
the musicians,
true.
I mean, well, here's the thing with Anamanaguchi. They only did one other game soundtrack, and it was like that game that they made or something like that, or like they produced some game. It was like some Kickstarter thing. I don't know much about it. I heard it was a mess. I heard it was a crazy disaster, but I don't know.
C:/Raft, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that. I have no
idea. Yeah, because I see that listed as performed by Anamanaguchi. I see Sackboy, A Big Adventure, C:/Raft, and Scott Pilgrim.
No, they did something else. It's a side-scrolling game. It's a rhythm game. The whole soundtrack was done by Anamanaguchi. It was just basically their music from their albums put in the game. But it's a rhythm game. You have to slide and jump, and it's like a 8-bit style. It's got Commander Video, Bit Trip Runner.
Oh, they did Bit Trip? Something in Bit Trip?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Because I had that on the Wii. I did not know that was them.
Yeah. Really fun game if you come across it. All the Bit Trip Runner games are pretty fun. One of the times I went to go see them was in New York. They played a show in Brooklyn at a place called Shea Stadium. Not the Shea Stadium for the New York Mets, because that was already demolished by that point, I'm pretty sure. Or if not, it was, but it was literally called Shea Stadium. And it was a hole in the wall that... it was in like an abandoned warehouse building. It looked like a studio apartment that they converted into a hall. And this concert took place right after Scott Pilgrim, the game, came out. And I cannot tell you how many girls were basically looked exactly like Ramona Flowers.
Oh, geez.
They all, it was like, I went with my now wife, and we were just like looking around at all the women that were there. And we were just like, why are all the women Ramona Flowers? It was so funny. But that's the only thing I wanted to say.
I think we're good to move into Nico's next pick.
Yeah. What do you got, Niko?
Oh, boy. All right. Second pick. I got something good for you. Break out your rave sticks. This is Zaxxon's Mother Base 2000 from the 32X, the Sega 32X from 1995. This is the Stage 6 Boss by Masashi Yonida and Naoshi Kunisawa. Welcome back. That was the Stage 6 boss from Zaxxon's Mother Base 2000 on the 32X from 1995 by Masashi Yonida and Naoshi Kunisawa. I told you to bring your rape sticks.
That was crazy. I love those PCM samples, though.
That was wild. Oh, yeah, the little woo.
Woo!
Absolutely.
Or it's either a woo or a girl screaming.
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah. It's a woo and a girl.
Sure.
It's a woo girl.
Sometimes when you're a girl, you woo and you scream. Really depends on the type of Alzadick that you're getting.
Hopefully a good one. Good. Yep. Anyway, so
or Rekka. Really depends.
Or Rekka.
Really
yeah,
depends.
I reckon
it's Alzadick.
Oh man, no, that
We're gonna
was
beat that joke into the ground. Anyways, Justin, tell me your thoughts on this.
Super frenetic. I love the energy that it was bringing. I'm familiar with the Zaxxon, like the early Zaxxon games. I'm not familiar with Zaxxon 2000. So I like thinking back to what I remember about the original Zaxxon games. Like I don't feel like this fits, but I don't care. Like it's like going off the wall. It's going wild, and then it does one of my favorite things with VGM. It uses like it isolates the stereo channels at certain points. So like it bounces back and forth. Or bits of the song bounce back and forth between the left and right ear. And I mean, sometimes it can be done poorly, but like the way they did it here, I absolutely love.
I think they really could have one-upped themselves if they just made a song with just screams.
Oh man. Yeah.
I mean, I need to hear that. And woos.
I'm sure it's out there. You can make it yourself, maybe. Even.
That's true.
You just gotta get the sample.
But it's got to sound digitized, though. It's got to sound like that old school, like, run through a graphic or an audio processor 5 million times.
Oh yeah.
It's got to sound like that. So
you get the PCM sample, and then you auto tune it so that it's mono pitched, and then you just pitch it up and down for the different notes, and then make everything just that.
Make it gargle mouthwash, and you're good. This game is it's an isometric game based on the original Zaxxon series. Mm-hmm. It's exclusive to the 32X, which is a shame because nothing should be exclusive to the 32X. No, I don't mean to poo-poo on the 32X. It's just I have always had a dislike for the system, mostly because there were very few games on it that were worth getting, and the prices on a lot of those games are just so stupidly high now that it's like, why bother? Like, just emulate it,
Yeah, emulate EverDrive. You can experience this other ways.
For sure.
If you don't want to play it all, then listen to the soundtrack, which not all tracks are exactly like that one, but it's good. What I really loved, I was like, I had a feeling I was going to choose a Genesis track, but I was like, no, let's take it a step further. Let me see what's on the 32X. Let me go into my brain. And I was like, there was this game. It was like Zaxxon, right? And I was like, this is the one. And I was like, I have to pick this. And yeah, what I love about it is the 32X. I always thought, like, what is exactly the sound chip? And it's basically the Genesis, but with like a a pulse width modulator, kind of thing added onto it, or takes enhances the Genesis sound chip. Okay, which is why it's the 32X games still sound like similar to Genesis games.
Right. I was going to say this sounds like a beefier Genesis.
Yeah, you can tell it's like it's Genesis, but it sounds a little better, a little more beefy, a little more crispier, and those samples those PCM samples are just going nuts. It sounds so but I love it. I love how ravey basically this one is. It's almost industrial. It's just oh god, I love it, and it fits the boss too. Which if you ever seen the boss of this game, the whole game has like bosses that are very big and polygony, kind of almost like this. Almost reminds you as if it's like Star Fox, but isometric, but doesn't look as rough because I think the way they made this game look, I think it still looks pretty good. But it's an Andross style boss fight. It's got the heads, the two hands. It's really impressive. I really like how it is too in the game. It feels very intense and fitting.
There were a lot of games that were really pushing boundaries on both Sega and the Super NES. I mean, Star Fox for sure was a standout, but even like some of the stuff on Sega CD, like Sylphid, was really impressive back in the day.
Yes.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember the first time I played that, and it was like not that long ago, like maybe 2015 or 2016 or something like that. And I just remember being blown away visually. I was like, whoa, like full on polygons, that they put in there, like just really impressive stuff. I'll have to check this one out, because honestly, like no joke, I really just didn't think anything was worthwhile playing. Maybe like that Knuckles game,
Knuckles Chaotix.
Knuckles Chaotix was really the only thing that was kind of trapped on the system, so to speak.
Yeah, this is one of the worth it's, I would say, of the 40, 32X games that were exclusive. Like, it's actually one of the other ones worthwhile to check out and listen to.
Nice. What about these composers, Justin? Tell me a little bit about what else these guys have done.
Yeah, so Masashi Yoneda only has this as an audio credit. It looks like they've done some programming and engineering and some other things in some other games. Like they did music composition in this as well as programming, and then they also did programming team in Fist of the North Star Lost Paradise in 2018. So that's neat.
Oh, cool.
But Naoshi Kunisawa started with this in 1995. That went on to do another game that I happen to like a lot, Cyber Troopers Virtual On in 1996.
Oh, yeah. That's a cool game.
Oh.
Yeah, and relatively small resume here. So they were sound effects arranger on Sega Touring Car Championships in 97, sound designer on Cyber Troopers Virtual On Oratorio Tengram in 99, Arrow Wings in 1999 they did sound, Arrow Wings 2 Airstrike in 2000, and they wrapped up with music in Surf Rocket Racers in 2001.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Oh, man. Well, let's go to a soundtrack that is one of my favorites on the N64. It's Conker's Bad Fur Day. This is the 2001 release. This is Rock Solid, and this is by Robin Beanland.
Hey there! Do you have a thirst for vengeance? Were you woken up in the middle of the night with a brick through your car window and the faint sound of the song Rock Solid from the Conker's Bad Fur Day soundtrack fading through the distance? Are you tired of squealing tires and juvenile delinquents ruining your evening? You need the anti-bricker, body-slamming, toe-tapping, weasel, ninja slice and dice training course. If you want to learn the secrets to defeating those hoodlums, sign up for my program and we'll teach your body how to fight like a weasel. Yeah, that's right, because weasels always know how to teach someone a lesson. Make it happen today! Call 1-900-WEASEL-NINJA right now. Do it!
Welcome back. That was Conker's Bad Fur Day, the N64 classic. This was a very late release, came out in 2001, and the track that we heard was Rock Solid, and it was called Rock Solid by Robin Beanland.
Oh, nice.
I love this song. I wanted to pick something from the N64 because everybody craps on the N64 so often, but the music on that system was so good. Like what Rare specifically did with the N64 is just like unbelievable sound wise. I mean, we talked to death with Grant Kirkhope about it on the Perfect Dark episode. So if you want to understand the technical aspects of what Rare was doing back then, go back and listen to that episode. But yeah, I don't know, just something about this track in particular. I love the game. It was one of the last N64 games that I bought. I bought it when it came out. It fit my type of humor. I loved all the satire and parody stuff. It's basically a cutesy, fun 3D platformer, but almost like a parody of it in a lot of ways. But like an adult parody of it. So this is not a game you play with your little kids.
Yeah, no, this is like an adult mascot platformer, which was, I don't know that I would say like wild for the time, but it was kind of wild for the time, especially on a Nintendo system. Like it was unexpected to see something that was like, not that there was any nudity or like, I don't think there's any actual swearing or anything, but like it was a pretty adult game for a Nintendo system. And that was awesome. I also really enjoyed this track. I enjoyed it a lot because it reminds me of a track from the movie Blade. That opening techno song. It's called Confusion, originally by New Order, remixed by Pump Panel. And that's acid techno. I think this is more like acid house.
I was going to say this is progressive trance, if anything.
Possibly. I mean, there's a lot of bleed between in a lot of these techno and dance type music. So I'd say it's hard to say, but I think you're right. I think it's closer to that than like acid techno for sure. But it just like the overall beat and the overall feel that I got, I was just like, I'm waiting for like the really grindy synths to come in, and then like the vocals and like the confusion and all that other stuff. Obviously it didn't, but it was great nonetheless, because like I said, I got kind of that nostalgic kick from that, and then it's just a really great groovy like track.
Yeah, I essentially would listen to this all the time in the car, and I gotta say, this sounds amazing in a car stereo, especially with that bass. You know, right before when the beat drops, you hear that like really guttural, like, you know, it's just like, man, it just feels like you got Alzadick, like all at once. And
I don't even have a TurboGrafx 16.
Right, yeah, exactly. But yeah, it just sounds so booming and so low in terms of the tone. Just you feel it, man. Especially if you jack up that volume and turn the bass way up. It sounds awesome. And I love the build-up. That's my favorite part about progressive trance is the build-up. You know, that it gets real quiet, and you know, then they start building up the melody, and then you know the bass drops. And just that whole middle section of the track right through until the end when it loops is just fantastic. It's so good. Love it.
Yeah, I like this track too. I've not really actually listened to much of Conker's Bad Fur Day. I've given the game a chance. I didn't vibe with me. I don't know what it was, something about it. It's still impressive, obviously, with the sound and the design and graphics and all that, but the gameplay didn't do it for me. But obviously with like that one main theme, one catchy little theme, I know that one. And I like this one too. This is exactly what I feel I would be hearing if I was at a club and just completely smashed myself and I'm just trying to make my way and I'm just hearing this and I'm just like, oh God, just here I am. I'm having a good time. Give me
Somebody
that
help
kind of
me.
feel. Somebody help me, please. Give me Alzadick. I need something, please. Yeah, I like the track day too. It makes you almost think like, oh, it's gonna be like a rock song. Nope, it's a trance-y. It's a dance song. It's grooving.
Yeah, the rest of the soundtrack is definitely not like this. This takes place when you're in the club. There's all these, like, if I recall, there's like these cavemen and like rock monsters and stuff like that. And you're peeing, you drink a ton, and you're peeing to put fires out, if I recall.
Yeah, sounds in line with Contra.
Yeah, and that's the bit. But man, I just didn't want to leave this area when playing it because I remember just rocking out to it. So I have the soundtrack on vinyl, and I just remember like I got it like secondhand, and I lucked out. I didn't have to pay a fortune for it. Just really love blasting this soundtrack on my vinyl just to chill out and relax. It's a fun soundtrack. It really takes me back to playing the game. I have so many memories of playing this game, both single player and multiplayer. I played this one a lot in like late high school and early college. We would play the multiplayer levels, the bank, the heist level, where you would play as different characters that would run to try to get the money and then run it back to their base, which is super fun. We did the war section where it's like one person plays the teddies, which are the bears, and the other guys play I think they're squirrels, and they're trying to get from the beach to the safe area. And depending on how many you can get through without dying, like, you know, depending on which side wins, it's super fun. All the multiplayer in this is really, really fun. It's a great game. So, you know, if you didn't like the multiplayer aspects or you didn't like the single player aspects, I feel like it'd be one of those things where if you didn't like one, you'd probably like the other. Robin Beanland, we've talked about plenty on the show. I'm a big fan of his work. He's still with Rare, actually. His latest game was Sea of Thieves, which he won some award for, if I recall.
Ooh.
Killer Instinct was his first game in 94, where he did music for that. He also did some tracks on Donkey Kong Country, did the follow-up to Killer Instinct Gold, or Killer Instinct 2. GoldenEye, he did the elevator music. Then he did Jet Force Gemini. He was a huge part of the N64 lineup back then. Then he did some additional work on the Conquer Live and Reloaded, which was the Xbox re-release after Microsoft bought out Rare. He did Viva Pinata. Basically became the go-to classic composer for Rare. I mean, everybody else at that point had left. David Wise left, Grant Kirkhope left, David Klinick, I think, left. He is the only guy from the original, like, classic Rare era that's still around.
Damn.
Wow.
At least at Rare. Those other guys are doing, like, freelance type stuff.
Yeah.
And working for Platonic Games doing Ukulele, which we did a whole episode with David Wise and Grant Kirkhope on that. So
Nice.
So my next pick here is going to be from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which was a 2017 game on PS4, Windows, and Xbox One. The track is Mega Man X, and it's composed by Aishi Sagawa. All right, that was my second pick of this episode. Mega Man X from 2017's Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. That came out in the PS4, the Xbox One, and Windows machines, and was composed by Aishi Sagawa. We'll get the composer out of the way now because Aishi Sagawa only has one credit, and that is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Done. Let's move on.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, then. Man, I could have used like 10 minutes more of that. That was awesome.
I 100% agree. I have a weird special spot in my heart for Mega Man X remixes, and not just like remixes of Mega Man X music, but like the Mega Man X theme. I have a number of, I don't know why I didn't play any of them on our remix episode, but I have a number of remixes of the Mega Man X like main theme. Not everyone's a hit, but the ones that are really good, I just really love. And this one, like, it's got like super thick bass paired up with like the dubs and the wubs. It's really nice and heavy, and it's not like the main theme is there and it is the focus, but it cuts in and out so much. Like it's like a remix within a remix to me. I don't like this game, but I love this track.
I've heard the game is not good.
I wouldn't know. I've not touched it. I refuse after the debacle that was Marvel vs. Capcom 3 DLC Express.
I'm glad that somebody else is on the same page as me. I haven't bought a Capcom fighter since Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
That's the thing. I bought Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and then was disappointed many times over for many different reasons. And like, I was a diehard MVC fan. Like Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite, like I'm not big on fighting games, but like those are some of my favorite fighting games. And then 3, I feel like Capcom just didn't really care. Capcom versus Tatsunoko I had a lot of fun with on the Wii, although that was a fighters game on the Wii is kind of weird, but like, I don't know. It's just, I don't plan on ever touching Infinite. The story sounds interesting, but everything that I've seen about the game doesn't look good. But this song slaps.
Yeah. No, I mean, the tunes are great, and Capcom tunes are usually great, so that makes sense. But I'm 100% with you. After they did Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then like 6 months later, they put out Ultimate, and it included Phoenix Wright, and they were like, oh, we don't know how to include Phoenix Wright in Tatsunoko versus Capcom, but we'll put him in Ultimate like 6 months later. Like, come on, get out of here. So I was just super burned on that. Haven't picked up a Capcom fighter since, and basically have sworn off Capcom fighters. I basically was like, if I'm going to pick up a Capcom fighter release, it's going to be Darkstalkers, like a new Darkstalkers game. And that's pretty much it.
That's fair.
Yeah. But anyways, this track was great. Super dancey, super jazzy and fun. You know, I got a little bit of a jazz vibe in a lot of ways. I don't know what it is with this track and why I feel that way, but like jazz, salsa, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm so used to the original version of this track, you know, that I kind of pictured it in my head as that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just spouting nonsense. I might have to go back and listen to it again. But like, for whatever reason, I got like kind of a techno salsa or techno jazz vibe to it.
I can see that.
Yeah. Maybe you're hungry with all the salsa.
That's true.
I don't know.
With all the salsa dick.
Oh, there's an infinite amount of that.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel's Capcom infinite amount of that.
Especially on this podcast.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting hearing y'all spout about the Marvel vs. Capcom. I have never been able to play any of the originals, which is where I'm sure most people are like, you gotta play at least these ones, the classics.
You've never dabbled?
Never dabbled. I've heard Tatsunoko before. That was good as well.
Tatsunoko is a lot of fun. If you're going to play one of them, play Tatsunoko, because it's way more ridiculous and arcadey.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that one, and I've never heard much of the soundtracks, but I did like this one because you got Mega Man X, one of the most classic Super Nintendo soundtracks. That's the opener theme, what I mostly heard in this track. And just it being remixed, redone in this way was awesome. I'm familiar with the original song, and it's just now you just get danced to it. You get down hard. Instead of getting down rocking, you're getting down with the booty.
I almost got really angry at this track at one point because I was waiting for that final part of the track.
Oh,
to come
yeah,
in.
yeah.
And so I'm sitting there
Yes.
and I'm like, are they going to drop this part or am I going to have to rage? And
No,
finally they dropped it. And I was like, oh, whew, okay, good
Whew.
song. Okay.
I'm raving, not raging.
Yeah. No, I totally feel you on that. This song would not have gotten played by me if if it had been like that. You would not have heard it. So I'm glad you stuck it out.
Reminds me of the Saturday Night Live Lonely Island skit. It's a bit where like his buddy brings him to a club and they're doing the bass drop and the guy's not dropping the bass and they're like, come on, drop the bass, and he's not dropping the bass. And finally he drops the bass and all their heads explode or whatever. Like, it's so ridiculous.
But
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So yeah, Aishi Sagawa is, I think, a newer composer from Capcom, right?
Yeah. Like I said, the only credit that I see is this game. With how this track came out, I really hope that there is more to come. Like I hope they weren't like a one and done with Capcom because this was really, really cool. And I'll have to give some of the other tracks on this soundtrack a try. I did go through a few things looking for something for this episode because I've heard that a lot of the music on the soundtrack is dancey. But then as soon as I saw there was a Mega Man X track, I was just like, nope, that's it. And then I listened to it and I was like, yeah, no, that's definitely it. So
for sure.
I got to go back and listen to some of the other stuff because I think they've got some really good chops.
I think this one was originally composed by Setsuo Yamamoto, but we may as well credit all of the Mega Man X composers: Setsuo Yamamoto, Makoto Tomozawa, Yuki Iwai, Yuko Takahara, and Toshihiko Horiyama, just so you know.
Yes, thank you. I didn't even think of that. This is obviously a remix, and the original... The original composers are owed their due.
Though I think Yamamoto did just the original opening track.
I think so as well. It sounds like his style, so yeah, that's what I'm thinking. All good. All good in the hood. All right, your final pick, Niko.
Yes, we're coming up. The final pick, which usually for me, that's my favorite, because you got to save the best for last.
What you got?
All right, here we come. I've got the final battle from Do Lucky no Puzzle Tour 94 from the Super Famicom exclusive from, of course, 94. And this is by Hideyuki Shimono and Akihito Okawa. Welcome back. That was the final battle theme from Do Lucky No Puzzle Tour 94 on the Super Famicom from 1994 by Hideyuki Shimono and Akihito Okawa. And there it is. That's one of my favorite songs I've discovered recent time that I just keep getting down on.
That was awesome.
Time and time again.
That was so good.
Agreed. It's similar to the one of the other tracks you played. It's very frenetic. Like there's a lot of like chaos happening in all of this musical glory. I particularly like in the beginning. There's this sound effect that it sounds like a laughing sound effect, but sped up to like almost insane levels. Or it might be a chipmunk, and I'm having trouble determining what it actually is. But I just know, like, I heard it, and I was like, oh, I know that sound effect. And my brain was like, yeah, but from where? And I was like, oh, come on, man.
Just that. Yeah, just that.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know where to start with this one. I guess the PCM samples, especially the part where it's just the PCM samples. You know, that part's great, and it really builds up to that next bit of the track. Yeah, I mean, like, this sounds like a Super Nintendo track on speed. You know what I mean? Like, it just sounds like something you would normally hear on the Super NES, but like amped up to 1,000. It's just really cool to listen to.
Oh, you know what it kind of almost reminds me of? There's an N64 game. Oh, what's it called? It's not
Robotron?
Yes, Robotron.
Hey, Robotron 64.
Yes.
Love Robotron 64's
Oh,
sound.
Yes.
Such a good soundtrack.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes, I can definitely understand like the speed and just the craziness.
Yeah.
This was the start of why I wanted to do the dancing theme, and I was just like, it's just like, this is great because first of all, this is the power of the SPC 700, the sampling power of the Super Nintendo being
absolutely
done right here. And I don't think I've ever, because this is specifically, I think, it's a breakbeat kind of beat and sample of vibe going on here. I don't think I've ever heard breakbeat on the Super Nintendo.
That's true.
I'm just like, holy cow. And the rest of the soundtrack is nothing else like this. It's a puzzle game. It's really cutesy. It's kind of like Puyo Puyo, but in reverse. You're shooting things up with blocks. It's really weird. It's kind of fun to still watch, but like the rest of the soundtrack is nothing like. This is the only song that I guess these composers was like, let's do something crazy for this final battle theme. And thank goodness, because I'm guessing they were inspired by some kind of scene in there where they are, I guess, breakbeat or whatever was going on at the time, obviously, to do this. Yeah, I love that little breakdown. It's like, yeah. And then I'm pretty sure the last thing is Total Annihilation, which, I mean, like, Jesus Christ, this is hardcore.
Yeah.
Like, but it sounds, I mean, it's Super Nintendo sampling, but it still sounds so good and so, like, so clear. It's very
clear.
Impressive. I'm pretty sure this is what half of, like, the memory for, like, sampling was used on was this track right here.
The game itself is pretty colorful too. Not like cutesy colorful. I mean, it does have cutesy characters in it, but the blocks are falling towards you and you're on the bottom of the screen. And what's happening is you've got to throw blocks at the top of the screen to match everything up. And if you match up enough pieces, then it makes the blocks disappear. And that's pretty much it. It looks like it gets really crazy, though. Like, it looks like it could be quite the challenge. So what's funny is that all the credits are in English. The game itself, I think, is in... Like, the title screen is mostly in Japanese. All the little cutscenes with the characters kind of yelling at each other back and forth. But I think this is pretty playable for the most part.
Oh yeah, some pick up and play, no real like maybe like I don't know if there is a tutorial, but you can get the basic idea, match the colors, and seeing like the final battle, it does get intense, and there's an awesome like wavy backdrop that's like not earthboundy, but it's like similar, and it fits the vibe of the song as well. Everything about this is so. This is also snowballing my deep dive into the Super Nintendo soundtrack library to find similar, not like this intensive songs, but like also it's using the sampling power. It's all about them samples, folks. Dat bass, dat sample.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it, and that's all. Yeah, I was really impressed with this one for sure. So good find, Niko.
Yeah.
Hey, you. Oh God.
Do you want to thank anybody while we're here, like the Academy or?
I'd like to thank the GST channel for anyone who knows what that is. That's a great. That's where I found this actually.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Shout outs to that Mixer VGM channel.
And do you want to thank anybody else? Pickles, cheese, Alzadick?
Oh, yes. And the two most important people in my life. It's not my mom and dad. It's Hideyuki Shimono and Akito Eko.
Oh, I thought he was going to say us.
Oh, shoot. I should have. Oh, God. No, I should have. That would have been the better. I'm ashamed. Well, this is the last episode I'll ever be on. Sorry.
That's impossible. Oh, man. These are way too fun to ever
You are
stop.
the unofficial third co-host of the show, for sure.
Woo!
That's it. All right, composer-wise, Hideyuki Shimono started off with this game, and then followed up with a soccer game called Dolucky's A-League Soccer. Did some Sharp X68000 stuff with Genocide 2 and Overtake. And then he did a Rooney Kenshin game on the PlayStation and a game called Zero Divide. Yeah.
Akihito Okawa started out doing Zero Divide in 1995. They're listed as music composer on that, as well as 1997 Zero Divide 2, The Secret Wish. In 1999, they did music and sound effects on Cart, Flag to Flag, and then they did sound on Mr. Mosquito in 2001. That's a silly game.
Yes.
And Universal Studios Theme Park Adventure, also in 2001. Their last credit is music and sound effects in Ka 2, Let's Go Hawaii in 2003.
Let's play my final track. It's a doozy. You're going to pump your fist and bang your head. It's Contra Shattered Soldier. This is on the PlayStation 2 that came out in 2002. And this track is called Battle Train. It's by Sota Fujimori with Akira Yamaoka also featured. Everybody, welcome back. That was my final pick, Contra Shattered Soldier, the PlayStation 2 2002 release. This track was called Battle Train, and it was by Sota Fujimori and Akira Yamaoka. I think Sota Fujimori specifically did this one, if I recall, but yeah. Anyways, I know it kind of cut off very abrupt. That is because that is how the song naturally ends. It segues into a totally different part. This whole level in this game is like segmented songs that just immediately roll into the next part of the section of the level. So when you're playing it, that's what's happening is you're getting to the end of the song and you're also getting to the end of the portion of the level. If you don't happen to beat it in time, then I believe it does loop back to the beginning in some way, shape, or form. I'm not sure how they do that. It's been a really long time since I've played this one, but this is my favorite Contra game. I love this game.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this.
It's kind of funny because we initially were listening to this track beforehand, and we didn't even realize it to the extended mix of the track. And I kept sitting here going, no, this doesn't sound right. This doesn't sound right. And I have the soundtrack kind of burned into my brain. And part of the reason for that is because I distinctly remember asking Justin and I's mutual friend Eric to buy me the soundtrack, and I would pay him back because he had access to like a bunch of places where you can get like import soundtracks. And he found this one, and I just loved the soundtrack so much. I was like, I gotta hear this music like all the time. So like in 2003, I was just blasting this soundtrack constantly. Loved it. And like I was also really getting into electronic music around that time too, so I was kind of shifting not out of metal, but just like I was adding to my repertoire, if you will.
Yeah.
So I was really getting into EDM, all sorts of dance music, techno. Progressive trance was of course my favorite, which this track is very obviously a progressive trance track that fits that timeline of music released during that era.
This feels a lot like a club hit of the late 90s to me. Like there's a lot of very classic techno synths, especially in the beginning. I like that it was fast paced but not quite frenetic. Like it wasn't like chaotic like some of the other tracks that we've heard. It was very different in that respect because it was kind of like I don't know that I would say like clean or cut and dry, but it was a different style, which I liked. And then in the middle there, so I really liked the effects that they put on the synths there. I always struggle to describe the effect. Like it's almost like an opening and closing of like an aperture or a filter or a mouth or something.
Yeah. I get what
cool.
you're saying.
Yeah, but it's really nice. Like there isn't a track that we have played tonight that I didn't like, and this is going to be really hard to pick a favorite in like 20 minutes.
That part of the track, just as far as the gameplay goes, you're on this trail, like these train tracks, and you're facing off against what ends up becoming a train, and that's why the track is called Battle Train.
Yeah.
But the train starts off as a robot with these like arms, and it's shooting at you with the arms from diagonal angles, and the head is in the center. So you got to try to, defeat the arms and the head if you can. And like right around that part is when you're hearing the bass kind of drop out. Yeah, you hear that like slowly building back up. I tend to really like progressive trance mostly because it could also be a metal song. So especially in the beginning, like like that could totally be a metal riff.
Yeah.
So, and the rest of the soundtrack has metal music in it too, like really chunky, heavy, borderline nu metal music in a lot of aspects. But this one in particular really stood out to me. So what do you think of this track, Niko?
I loved it. I've heard Contra Shattered Soldier's other tracks, the heavier ones, obviously, because when you think of Contra, you think of the heaviness. You think more of like, rockin'. Seen a good bit of the game, but somehow missed out on getting to this track, which it fits perfectly. It's such a nice, dancey just vibe. And like you said, like all the tracks tonight have just been, everything can be vibed to so good. And it works, this is the beauty of like the PS2 era, just this era of gaming. You can have a soundtrack that's just this diverse. Well, I guess my last pick kind of had that, the rest of that Do Lucky soundtrack's kind of cutesy. And then you got like the break beat going on. And here you go from like metal with some of the tracks in the beginning probably to like this, trancey track. And it works. And I love that. And of course, with a little bit of Akira's touch, he was mostly like the sound director or whatever, designer in general on this game.
Yeah.
And it works because he's done a lot of work on other dancey
DDR stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, as well. So it fits. I wouldn't doubt if Akira had a little bit more input with this track than some of the others, but who knows?
Yeah.
Either way.
I mean, Sota Fujimori, a lot of his content is Beatmania games, like a ton of it. I mean, his first game was Gun Gauge in 99, but he started working on DDR stuff with DDR 5th Mix in 2001. He did music and arrangement on the Castlevania Chronicles soundtrack, which was basically the Akamajo Dracula X68000 on the Sharp X68000, but, redone and retweaked with some new remixes, totally remixed soundtrack. And, he just continued working with Konami on Beatmania stuff and the soccer games. His latest game was the Beatmania 2DX18 Resort Anthem in 2010. Akira Yamaoka, a longtime Konami guy as well, started off with Smart Ball in 91 as an assistant composer, and then started working on games like Sparkster, Contra, Hard Corps in 94, did the Salamander Deluxe Pack Plus in 97, a Gone by Goemon game, Silent Hill, probably best known for the Silent Hill series. We talked a lot about it on the survival horror game episode with Avalanche Jared.
Yep.
His latest game is a game called The Medium, which came out last year.
Soon to be followed up by The Large.
It's supersized. Alzadick.
Anyways. That note, it looks like we are getting another call.
Yes.
Janine says they've been on hold for a bit, actually.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
let's bring them on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Caller, you are on XVGM Radio. Who is this, and what can we do for you?
Hi, my name's Anthony, and I just wanted to know if you could play some DDR for me. And
Today, Junior. Yeah, we could play something from DDR, not licensed stuff, but sure, yeah, we'll figure you out.
Thanks. That's a little rude, but I appreciate it. XVGM, yeah. Woo.
The music is you. All right. Well, there's not a lot of DDR stuff that we could play, but Justin, what's your final track that you're going to take us out on?
I think we can actually play something DDR adjacent. Speaking of Beatmania 2DX, this will be Beatmania 2DX 7th style. This came out in the arcades and on PS2 in 2002, and the track is Burning Heat, and this is the full option mix. DDR Max 2 had the 3 option mix, I believe, and this was done by Mr. T with Motoaki Furukawa. All right, that was Burning Heat, the full option mix from 2002's Beatmania 2DX 7th style. Came out in the arcades, and then technically the version that came out in PS2, I think, was 7th style CS. But either way, it was on there. And that was by Mr. T, also known as Tomoyuki Uchida, featuring Motoaki F, also known as Motoaki Furukawa.
You know what happens, Justin, when Mr. T gives you Alzadick?
You get Burning Heat.
You get for free.
You get a good friend because Mr. T gave you Alzadick. It's what you wanted, right? That's a good
Just
friend.
so you know, I'm editing this break and I'm keeping that in.
Please do.
Jesus.
Yeah, if not, you're gonna get pitied. I pity the
my
fool.
God.
I pity the foo. Oh man, Burning Heat, great track. Sounds like you need to go to a doctor to get that checked out.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, no. The title of the track is not a great title. The track itself is fantastic.
Yeah, this is a Gradius remix, if I recall. It even throws in that little 8-bit version.
Yeah.
You know, I remember playing this in the arcades on DDR. Like, I remember this being on one of the DDR machines. I think it was Extreme 2, actually.
DDR Max 2.
Max 2, that's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to play the bejesus out of this.
Yeah, me too. Like, I mean, as everybody who listens knows, I am a big Gradius fan. So the day that I went to my local arcade and saw a Gradius track on a DDR game, I almost lost my mind. And then I played it and I was like, I'm not familiar with this track. And that's because it's technically the opening track from Gradius 2. It is technically in Gradius 3 as a hidden song, but I think that's the arcade version. I don't think it's in the SNES version.
No. And Gradius 2 only came out in Japan on the Famicom. I mean, it came out on a bunch of other stuff, but at least in terms of stuff that you can reasonably play, the Famicom is probably the easiest way to get it.
Yeah. So when I actually played the song, like, I was super excited, but I was really confused because I was like, I've played Gradius 1, I've played Gradius 3, I don't recognize it. And eventually I was like, oh, it must be from the one in the middle that we never got. But I don't remember if I had this one, like, all the steps memorized, but there were a select few tracks that I actually memorized all the steps. It was so much fun. And, like, as you said, with the 8-bit part in the middle, I love that so much. And when you're playing this, I mean, we're going off on a tangent here because this is not a DDR song. This is a Beatmania song. But maybe they do something similar in Beatmania. But in DDR, when it hits that 8-bit part, the entire screen goes, well, except for the arrows, but the entire screen goes 8-bit, and you've got, you know, the Vic Viper and whatnot, and it's just like, it's a classic Gradius scene, and I really appreciated the way that they did the video for that.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great track, and it really makes me want to play both DDR and Gradius at the same time. So,
yeah. Niko, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I loved it. That's one of my favorites. I love Gradius 2 on the Famicom. That's one of, I was gonna say favorite of the games. I've only played 1, 2, and 3. I should play like 4, right? 4 and 5. The PS2 one I really wanted to play because that one looks awesome.
Yeah,
think that's
Gradius 5 is
5.
pretty cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I love Burning Heat. And again, you got, like, you had the Mega Man X pick, and now you got the other classic just remixed into this vibe. It's amazing how many Beatmania stuff there is. I've never played a single Beatmania, but that's all right. I appreciate this as it was. Just the energy of that track I love so much. It's just, there's something about Gradius 2 specifically that just, it's like, it's so
Something about Gradius.
I saw that movie. It was good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Things I love about Gradius. Number 1, Mr. T.
But yeah, no, the Beatmania series, I tried playing it for a while, but it takes a special type of hand-eye coordination where, like, you got one hand on a DJ table, and then similar to DJ Hero on the Wii, except I think DJ Hero only had a couple of buttons. Beatmania 2DX has a turntable and then 7 buttons, and just like any of the other rhythm games, you know, the keys fall down and you have to either scratch or hit the button in time with the music, and it just, for whatever reason, I couldn't wrap my brain around it. I think I played a total of like 2 or 3 times and was just like, I'm gonna go back to DDR.
Yeah, I'm terrible at Beatmania. Like, absolutely awful. Anytime I've ever played it, I failed. It's just so difficult. I mean, I also started off on basic or light mode on DDR in the original and kind of worked my way up to it. So maybe if I played on an easier setting, I'd be able to do better. But I don't know. It's like one of those things, like, you play video games with your hands normally, so you think like, oh, I'm playing this with my hands, so it'll be totally easy. But no. It's not.
Yeah. No, I get that, but this really makes me want to go back and play DDR.
Tell me about these composers, because we got some favorite tracks to pick.
Yeah, so Mr. T is Tomoyuki Uchida and is credited on basically all the Beatmania stuff. starting with Poppin' Music 3 Append Disc in 2000. They're the sound data analyzer. Then moving on to Beatmania 2DX Third Style in 2000. And just like, I'm not going to read all these off because there's a ton of them, but just Beatmania and Poppin' Music all the way up to 2008. Beatmania 2DX 14 Gold. And then they were credited on I Want to Be the Boshi in 2010 for Beatmania 2DX 7th Style. And then Motoaki Furukawa started in the way back times of 1987 doing sound on Nemesis 2. They got into doing music in Snatcher in 1988, The Final Round as well in 1988. Let's see, Sunset Riders in 1991 they did music. Super Contra in 1988, music editor, but let's jump up to more recent stuff. They were composer in Castlevania in 1999. And then we've got music in Horgihue, which came out in 2018. And their last credit is the arcade music composer for Blazing Chrome AC in 2021.
I think we did a good job, gents. I think we picked some really good tunes. And
yes.
So now is the time of the episode where we choose our favorites. Niko, you're the guest of honor. You go first.
Oh man, I still had time. I was still thinking. It's a tough one today. But of this, I mean, for me, actually, it's actually between either Contra Shattered Soldier or just this one, the Beatmania, because I love them both. I love the memories of Burning Heat, and I just love realizing, like, damn, this Contra Shattered Soldier track is banging. But which one would I definitely just vibe to the most? If I'm putting on a dance mix, what am I gonna include? What would it be? You know what? Just because this one's newer to me, I would probably do Contra Shattered Soldier, because I mean, it's
Nice.
Contra, it's great. I love that Battle Train track. Battle Train track.
Battle Train track.
Nice.
Yeah.
What about you,
Good
Justin?
I agree with Niko. This is really difficult. I really enjoyed Rock Solid from Conker's Bad Fur Day, but I think the one that I'm going to pick out that kind of stood out to me a little bit more than the others was the Rekka track, Elm 39 from Summer Carnival 92 Rekka. That was fun.
Man, you both picked my tracks. I'm actually going to pick Niko's track, the Dolucky No Puzzle Tour 94 final battle track. That was awesome. I really dug that. It's just such a unique sound to the Super NES that sounded both like a Super NES and not like a Super NES. So I was really feeling that track.
Yeah, that was a good one too.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that one.
So many good ones here.
What were your favorite tracks, listener? Let us know in our Discord, our various social media. We want to thank Niko for coming on the show. We love having Niko. He's our unofficial third host on the show. We wish we could have him on every episode, but Niko, tell us a little bit about where the internet can find you, what you're known for, and all that jazz.
Well, of course, thank you as always for bringing me back each year. It always feels so nice, so special, so awesome. It's an honor. And I'm always glad to share the awesome video music tunes and just talk about all of that. But of course, for most that have probably been hanging around the series for a while, you know that I am the 8-bit stereo guy, Niko's 8-bit stereo. Just recently, actually, I was able to officially change the URL. That was the last bit of what I was known as before. It's the Wii guy. So now if you put in youtube.com/Niko's 8-bit stereo, all one word, you'll find me. I changed that name. And of course, that's what I'm known for. I also did do some streaming on Twitch under NikoTengoku, my alternate or main username. But I've been taking a bit of a break from that, just kind of more enjoying doing stuff in my own life, playing more games, listening to more awesome soundtracks, music, of course, like bands and artists, and of course, video music, the
For sure.
coup de grace. But definitely Niko's 8-bit stereo. That's where you want to find me. Recently, last year, on the last episode, and announced that something big was coming to the channel, a revamp, and it did launch, of course, last year. And it's been going great. I've been really happy with the new sound I've been doing with the soundtracks. Just a little bit more, not as echoey, not as reverby.
Right?
Those are the main things. They still sound clear and crisp. There's obviously still a slight alteration with like the stereo. It's not like how it was before, because it definitely really was. but it's a little bit more, I would say, fine-tuned.
Nice. Very cool. And we'll share those links down below on the website, so you could go there, check it out. Also, just go to our webpage at xvgmradio.com and go to the guests section. There's several episodes with Niko's name on them. So if you like this episode and how ridiculous it was, and you want more Niko, if you want Alza Niko, you got to go there. So we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons, without whom this show's continued improvement would be impossible. They are Alex Messenger, Cam Worma, Chris Hart, Dan Lawton, Jordan and Anson Davis, Rage Cage, Kung Fu Carlito of the Heroes 3 podcast, Scott McElhone, Chris Myers, The Autistic Gamer 89, Bedroth, Brad Austin, Chris Murray, Llama Adam, Marcus Stewart, Nathan Cooper, Nick Davis, and Ryan McPherson.
If you would like to become a patron, you can sign up at patreon.com/xvgmradio. There you can see the different tiers as well. Just $1 gets you a thank you at the end of the show and access to our monthly live shows.
You can visit our website, xvgmradio.com, where you can listen to all the episodes and learn more about your hosts, as well as any of our guests or composers that we've had on the show.
If you'd like to reach out to us, you can always email us at xvgmradio@gmail.com.
If you've liked what you've heard, please consider giving us a review on iTunes.
You can join our Facebook group and chat with other VGM lovers at facebook.com/groups/xvgmradio, where we talk about everything from current game news to sharing awesome VGM tracks, or just talking about the podcast itself.
You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle on both of those sites is at XVGMradio.
If you don't have any other social media or just want to try something unique, check us out on our Discord group chat. Links will be in the show notes.
Justin, in 2 weeks, no, 1 month, right? 1 month.
Thereabouts,
We're coming back with our musician guest spot featurette that we've done. We haven't done that in a while, but that's going to be 87, right?
Yeah. Episode 87 is going to be a guest spot with Orchestral Fantasy. This will be really cool. I don't think we've done a musician guest spot since episode 64 with Lucia Larezza.
Yeah. That's the last time that we had the comparison of the original tracks with the musicians' tracks that we tend to do, where we bring on remixers or musicians that love video game music. They have an appreciation for it. So this one will be really cool. This person does a lot of work with orchestral versions of like Final Fantasy stuff, Chrono Trigger, like a lot of that type of stuff. So I think people who enjoy that type of music will really dig it.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. So again, thanks to Niko for being our third host on this episode. This is Mike
and Justin
signing off for XVGM Radio. Yep.
I'm Robin. He must be full of beans.
And he's living in a land of beans. Yeah.
Hopefully no one's robbing them.
No, that'd be bad.
Yeah. They'd be spilling the beans at that point.
For sure.
Oh my God.
All right.
Can't carry them out.
Let's move into Justin's next game before I make an Alzadick joke.
Oh, too late. The reference is a joke in and of itself.
Yes.
But yeah, so my next pick here is going to be from Marvel vs. Capcom. Nope, not Cop.
Marvel vs. Capcom.
Capcom.
I am Capcom.
Right up there with Robot Cop.
Right. Robert Cop.
Robert Cop, yes. Starting with Poppin' Music 3 Append Disc in 2000, they're the sound data analyzer, and then... What?
I love that title. It's a good
Music
title.
3 Append Disc.
Append disc.
You gotta get your appendix out sometimes.
Hey, at least it wasn't
Play with
appendix. I mean,
or all append all
the dick. Yes.
all right.
Yeah.
Moving on. Welcome to XVGM Radio, where the beats. Yeah, the beats. Fuck. It's been a while since we did this.
Yeah,
Where
no,
the
I
beats-
get
I like it.
Where
We
the
gotta keep
beats-
that in.
beats. Yeah, the beats.
All right.
Let me
Redo this.